Well, Israeli Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman is calling for some even harsher responses to terrorist attacks. Lieberman wants Israel to extend its policy of demolishing terrorists' homes by also destroying the homes of assailants that have badly wounded Israelis in terror attacks. And he's also pushing to instate a death penalty. Well, joining me now to take a deeper look at these proposals is Dr. Martin Sherman, the founder and executive director of the Israel Institute for Strategic Studies. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for inviting me.
So, many critics see home demolition as a form of collective punishment. Do you agree or not?
Well, I don't think that's really the question. The question is, what's the alternative? What are you supposed to do? Ask the terrorists nicely to stop doing what they're doing because it's just not done? Clearly, you need punitive action. And the question is,
Well, the question is how effective is it? I mean, this has been done before, right?
Well, that's true. So have targeted assassinations. And quite clearly that any one tactical operational item, operational tactic, is not a silver bullet. And house demolitions, whether it's expanded to those who have failed to kill Israelis or those who helped to plan and kill Israelis as well, on its own, just as targeted assassinations, will not be effective unless it's incorporated into a wider strategy. And I think that's been the failure of Israeli policy for decades, is they haven't had a coordinated policy that strives to end the conflict, not to manage it, not to treat the Palestinians as prospective peace partners, but as unrelenting enemies.
Well, but then going back to this form of punishment, I mean, it seems a bit harsh to tear down a family home because of the dangerous and irresponsible activities of an individual in that family, right? Oftentimes you're looking at...
You could ask that question about any act of war. What about the British bombing German cities? Where the people who bombed actually
but again,
part of the
is it
warfare.
effective? My question is, do you know, are there statistics that show that...
Well, as far as I know, there are statistics showing that within a given period, targeted assassinations, for instance, seem to dampen, not to eliminate, but seems to dampen the terrorist attacks. But again, unless we conceptualize the conflict correctly, because the problem is not operational. There are all sorts of operational issues that you can use, operational measures you can use. But you need to conceptualize the conflict as a clash between two collectives. And only one collective can emerge victorious. You can't worry about the individual rights of your enemy whilst your enemy as a collective is trying to destroy you.
Okay, well, let's talk about the death penalty more specifically because we're running out of time and I want to be able to address this as well. What crime would be bad enough to warrant such a punishment? There have only been 2 executions in the history of Israel, the first being IDF officer Meir Tobiansky, and that was a pretty big mess for Israel because they later exonerated him of all charges. And then Adolf Eichmann, who was killed by hanging, he was charged with war crimes, obviously, in the Holocaust. Who would fit into that category of who?
Well, I don't want to go into the whole question of whether Israel should adopt or not adopt a death penalty. But if a death penalty is adopted, I'm sure that many of the perpetrators of some of the terrorist attacks would richly deserve it. Some of them never survived because it was a suicide attack. So for stopping suicide attacks, the death penalty is clearly not really effective because the people who perpetrated are dead anyway. And again, I think it's wrong to focus on particular punitive or deterrent measures detached from a wider strategy. And a wider strategy must be that we view the Palestinians as an implacable enemy, and we should treat them as an enemy and not worry about whose rights we're going to infringe. I've said many times before on some of these programs that I think that Israel should declare them an enemy and start withdrawing services and offering non-belligerents relocation opportunities.
Well,
but
unfortunately,
that's going beyond the scope.
That's for our next interview. But thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Martin Sherman, and hopefully we'll have some more time next time.
Thank you.